Welcome back to Mark Holbit's Vlog, everyone. Thanks for joining in on this beautiful, sunshiny kind of a day. Well, guess what? Today's a very, very interesting day. Why? Because the last couple of weeks we've been talking about the Lamborghini and specifically some of the drivers and buyers that have been shopping for the car. I got to the point where I was getting a little bit tired of some of these people showing up, kicking tires, fiddling, fondling, and then basically walking away. Or just even worse was the people that were reaching out emails. Hey, I'll give you 80 grand, I'll give you 90 grand. They don't even come to see it. So, that was getting a little frustrated. And I asked you guys there last week if I should maybe just decide to keep it. As a matter of fact, I even had a talk with my wife and she said, well, I'll do whatever you like. But I was getting to a point where I said, you know what? We'll give it another week and then we'll call it a day, because there's a couple of you guys out there, Thomas and Dave. I know you guys had commented specifically, basically keep the car. It's old school, it's great, they're wonderful cars, and at some point you just got to decide, what is going to make you happy. Well, the Gallardo has always been a great car for me. But since that last video, something new has changed. Somebody who has reached out to me a couple weeks ago, he was sort of back and forth and he has some questions, but it didn't seem like he was all that serious. He's from an adjacent province, actually, the way it stands. He looks like he's from Vancouver. He reached out again this week. So right after that video, I think it was Sunday or Monday, he had reached out, asked a question, or asked a lot more questions about the Gallardo, and then really got it kind of dug down deep. And then we started talking about numbers. And so it kind of left me thinking, do I reconsider? Because again, as I say, I was going to give it another week, and then I said enough is enough. I was going to pull the ad off of all the classifieds. But I got this call, I got the offer, and today we're going to do a pre-purchase inspection. So we're going to take the Lambo down because that's something he has asked for. He wanted the pre-purchase inspection done to the car, and barring anything major, hopefully not, then it should be good to go. So let's go head on down to Ed, my favorite mechanic at Elegant Motors here in Edmonton, and he's going to do a full PPI on the Lamborghini Gallardo. Let's go. So making these kind of choices are always a difficult one. It's something that I've toyed with on and off for the last couple of years, and this car has treated me really, really well, other than this clutch job. And so it's a very difficult thing. It's almost like part of the family, because a lot of my kids sort of grew up, because I've owned the car for 6 years and I've got a bunch of small children. Or now they're not so small, but they were when I bought it, and they all had experiences in the car. So it almost becomes, the Gallardo is almost a part of the family. So it's really with mixed reviews that I'm even trying to sell the car. But let's check out the PPI, or the pre-purchase inspection, and see how it goes.
Thank you, sir. Take care. You too. Thank you.
Twin turbo Gallardo. I believe this one is what year is this one, Ed?
04.
This one's an 04, but modified. Yeah, let's see what this thing's got. Is your E-gear pump?
Yep.
Oh look, you got the Lambo doors on this car. Pretty sweet ride for sure. What do we have under the hood of this bad boy here? Oh look, what do we got? Carbon fiber? Is it a carbon fiber wing there? It's black anyhow. Oh, they're twin turbo. You can see right there, 1 and 2 turbos. This thing goes. So we've gone for drives with this guy, and actually this thing blows flames here when it lifts off throttle. It's actually quite a fun car to drive around. Very loud, very quick, and a whole lot of fun, no doubt about it. And you know what? The orange, you can't go wrong. It definitely stands out in a crowd.
That's tight. Oh yeah, this is very tight. Oh yeah, very tight.
Nice. The brakes, it got a little bit of wear on there.
About 50.
About half?
Yeah, about half. Yeah. The backs are very good brakes.
The backs you said are good?
Yeah, very good. Look how thick the pad is. It's good.
Right on.
It's tight. There's not a single drop of nothing.
You say it's fairly dry?
It's very dry. It's too dry. I've got to make it wet. No, it's good. It's very good.
So you're able to see in there anything to do with the new clutch? Can you see anything up in that inspection?
There's basically nothing wrong. Like everything is clean. The CV boots are good. The rear brakes are really like they're almost new. The front brakes, well, they're good, you know. But I mean, that's front brakes. So I'll have to do that, you know, no matter who owns the car, and eventually it's brakes. More than half good, about half or more, a little bit more.
Okay.
They're good. There's nothing wrong with it.
Okay.
And it's very clean. There's no oil. There's no oil indication of any leaks of oil or antifreeze. It's very dry. There's nothing wrong, really.
It's.
You know.
How about the tires? No, I mean, I know they're down there a little bit. These ones here, but so overall the car checked out very, very well. Thanks to Ed, he did a great job as usual. Went through it from top to bottom. The only thing, maybe the tires could have possibly used a bit of a replacement. They're getting down a little bit. They'd still be fine for a good couple of years, but I think that was one notable. Other than that, the car was super clean and nothing really to identify, nothing really worth commenting on. So it looked like I talked to the potential buyer. He seems like he's pretty happy with it so far, or what the response was. Now we had to do a FaceTime because he's not from around here. So we did a FaceTime communication about the inspection and all of that. So we'll see how it goes. I've got to talk to the potential new buyer a little bit later, and we'll see what he's got to say about this whole thing. So this whole pre-purchase thing actually raises a good point, and it's, do you modify your exotic? Now, of course, I've had the car for 6 years, and over the time there, I've thought about doing different things. I was just about getting around to possibly looking at putting on a wing, a Superleggera wing. I already did the 2B exhaust, which is buried underneath there, so it makes a better sound. Those are pretty reversible. I kept the original exhaust so there would be no issues, but it does raise the question, when you go too far with your supercar, it becomes very, very hard to sell. That can be very, very challenging. As you guys saw, that orange Gallardo that we just saw at Ed's place, that car actually has a vast amount of upgrades. It actually uses the Lamborghini doors. You've got the twin turbo setup. So once you go that far, that closes the gap from being a very niche car and very easy to, relatively decent to sell, down to this point where very few people want to buy the very custom tailored car that you created. So do you modify your car? Do you not modify it? I mean, that's a million questions you have to answer. I think once you go that far, you're pretty much committed, and you're pretty much going to say to yourself, or have to admit, that you're keeping the car for life. If you keep everything bone stock, it's easier to deal with. I mean, I didn't do a whole lot here to the Gallardo, so it was a lot less questions and a lot less challenges when the next prospective buyers came along. So there's also less wear and tear often when you do less to your car. When you modify these things and you put turbos on them, I've heard of twin turbo setups. All of a sudden, they put them on their car and they go, all of a sudden you're adding all that extra power and you're peeling out drive shafts. Sometimes you're breaking gearbox synchros, you're peeling drive shafts. I've heard of all these things happening. Or your half shafts, the axles actually twist and break in half. So there's a lot of things that start to happen. So when you go in for a pre-purchase inspection, there's not just your standard wear and tear items, there's things you have to look outside the box. And now it's a question of, do you go deeper, leak down tests or compression tests? Because once you add a whole lot of boost to a car that was normally naturally aspirated, sometimes those little sneakers sneak up on you. So that's where sometimes it's nice to keep the car stock. But I am a firm advocate for tastefully modifying your cars. So, there's always things that we can do to make them a little bit better. And would I go twin turbo with the Gallardo? Probably not. Who knows, right? I mean, that was one thought I know I had considered at one point. Actually, Ed had kind of mentioned that was an option. Maybe you should have looked at it, explored a couple years ago, but I never really went down that avenue. I thought keeping it relatively stock. I mean, if a car comes turbocharged, say for example a McLaren comes turbo, sure, upgrade the turbos, or a 911 turbo, upgrade the turbos, intercooler, but those things are easy to do. But the car was fundamentally built on a platform that was designed for turbocharging. Now you add turbos to this, you're going to expect other things that are going to start breaking. So again, at the end of the day, I kept it stock, I maintained the car. Aside from, tires being down a little bit, and of course, brakes were a little bit down, but nothing out of spec per se, the car was pretty much turnkey. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see, everyone. I haven't heard the decision just yet from whether the buyer is actually going to proceed, but I guess we'll have to see once I deliver the paperwork to the prospective buyer if he likes what he's hearing, if there's anything that he's not satisfied with, is he going to buy the car? I guess we'll have to wait and see next week if he pulls the trigger and actually buys the Lambo. If not, I'm pulling the car off the market, and it's basically going to be staying in the garage here, and we're going to just build off of it and make a project out of it. If he does buy it, well, then we're going to be moving on to the next project. So wait and see. And as well, everybody, be sure to hit that subscribe button because that'll help me a lot. I love to see the channel starting to grow, and I can't help but thank each and every one of you guys out there for making it happen. Thanks again. See you next time. Bye-bye.